10 walking mistakes that are ruining your health after 50. Doctor explains why. If you are over 50, there is something I need you to understand right away, because what I'm about to explain is one of the most underestimated truths about aging, and it is quietly determining whether your body becomes stronger over time, or whether it slowly drifts toward fatigue, weakness, and loss of independence. And that truth is this: walking is not just movement, it is a biological signal that tells your entire body how to function, how to repair, and how to age, and most people are sending that signal in a way that is far weaker than they realize. But before we go any further, I want you to pause for a second and do something simple. Just think about how often you actually walk in a typical week. Is it every day? Is it a few times? Or is it something you are trying to get back into? Write it in the comments below, because I read them and I genuinely use your responses to guide future videos. And if staying independent, avoiding chronic disease, protecting your heart and brain, and aging with strength matters to you, then take one moment right now to subscribe to this channel, because every week I share science-based, practical strategies designed specifically for adults over 50 who want to stay strong instead of slowly declining. Now let's begin, because what I'm about to show you may completely change how you think about something as simple as walking. And I want to start with a surprising idea that most people never hear in a medical context, and that is this: your body does not respond to effort alone, it responds to the quality of the stimulus, meaning you can walk every day and still not get the full health benefit if the way you walk does not challenge the systems inside your body in the right way. And I have seen this countless times working with older adults, people who say, "Doctor, I walk every day but I don't feel different." And the reason is almost always the same: they are repeating a pattern their body has already fully adapted to. So let's break this down step by step, starting with the first major mistake, and this is walking too comfortably. Now I want to be very clear here: comfortable walking is not bad. In fact, it is far better than inactivity. But there is a difference between maintenance and improvement, and most people are stuck in maintenance without realizing it, because when you walk at a very slow, relaxed pace, your heart rate barely rises, your breathing stays almost unchanged, and your muscles are not pushed beyond their normal daily demand. And the problem with that is simple biology. The human body only improves when it is forced to adapt, not when it is simply maintaining an easy state. And this is where cardiovascular fitness becomes important, something we measure as VO2 max, which is essentially how efficiently your body uses oxygen. And here is what decades of research show us very clearly: lower cardiovascular fitness is one of the strongest predictors of early mortality from all major causes, including heart disease, diabetes, and even cognitive decline. And what most people don't realize is that you don't need extreme exercise to improve this, you just need to walk at the right intensity. And there is a very simple test I want you to use from now on. While walking, you should still be able to speak, but you should not be able to comfortably hold a long, relaxed conversation. You should feel slightly challenged, just enough that your breathing increases, just enough that your heart is working a little harder. And that small shift is where the adaptation process begins, because in that zone your heart strengthens, your blood vessels become more efficient, your muscles improve oxygen usage, and over time this directly impacts longevity. Now let's move to the second mistake, which is something even more subtle but extremely powerful, and that is doing the exact same walk every single day, same route, same speed, same duration. And at first this feels perfect, because consistency is good, but here is what happens biologically: your body is an adaptation machine, and once it recognizes a repeated stimulus, it becomes efficient at it, and efficiency in this case means you stop improving. So the person who walks the same 30-minute flat route every morning may feel good, but after a few weeks or months, their cardiovascular system is no longer being challenged in the same way. And that is why progress stops, not because walking stopped working, but because the stimulus became too predictable. And the solution is not complicated at all. You do not need gym workouts or running, you just need variation. For example, adding a gentle incline once or twice a week forces your heart and legs to work harder, or adding short intervals where you walk faster for 30 to 60 seconds before returning to normal pace creates a metabolic challenge that reactivates adaptation pathways. And even extending your walk by just 5 to 10 minutes occasionally is enough to signal your body that it needs to keep improving. Now let's go deeper into something far more powerful and often completely ignored, and this is what you do immediately after eating, because for most people, the post-meal period is where some of the most important metabolic processes are happening. And yet it is also when most people become completely inactive, sitting on the couch, watching TV, or scrolling their phone. And here is what is actually happening inside your body during that time. Every time you eat carbohydrates such as rice, bread, pasta, potatoes, or even fruit, your body converts them into glucose, which enters your bloodstream and raises your blood sugar, and in response your pancreas releases insulin, which helps move that glucose into your cells for energy. But over time, especially with age and inactivity, many people develop insulin resistance, meaning the cells stop responding efficiently to insulin, so the pancreas has to produce more and more just to achieve the same effect, and this is one of the earliest biological pathways that leads to type 2 diabetes, weight gain, and cardiovascular disease. But here is where walking becomes extremely powerful, because when your muscles are active, they can absorb glucose directly from the bloodstream without relying as heavily on insulin, which means even a simple 10-minute walk after eating can significantly reduce blood sugar spikes. And what makes this even more interesting is that you don't need intensity at all. Even a gentle walk changes the metabolic response after a meal. And I have seen this in real-world clinical observations repeatedly. Patients who simply add a short walk after dinner often report better energy, less fatigue, and more stable blood sugar readings over time. Now let's address another major issue that quietly affects almost everyone over 50, and that is prolonged sitting, because many people believe that a daily walk is enough to offset long hours of inactivity. But the body does not work in isolated events, it responds to patterns throughout the entire day. And when you sit for long uninterrupted periods, blood flow slows, metabolic enzyme activity decreases, and your muscles essentially switch into a low activity state. And even if you later go for a walk, it does not completely erase those hours of reduced metabolic activity, which is why the real solution is not just exercise, but breaking up sitting time, standing every 30 to 60 minutes, walking for a few minutes, stretching, or simply changing posture can have a surprisingly strong effect on long-term metabolic health. Now let's move to something that may seem simple but is actually deeply important: outdoor exposure. Because walking indoors on a treadmill or inside a building is still beneficial, but it lacks one critical element that outdoor walking provides, and that is natural light. And light is not just something we see, it is a biological regulator that controls your circadian rhythm, which in turn affects sleep quality, hormone balance, energy levels, mood, immune function, and even metabolism. And morning sunlight in particular sends powerful signals to your brain that help regulate melatonin production later at night, which means better sleep quality, and sleep is one of the most important predictors of healthy aging after 50. Now another factor that is often underestimated is social connection, because walking alone is beneficial, but walking with another person introduces emotional, psychological, and physiological benefits that go far beyond movement alone. Studies consistently show that strong social relationships are linked to longer lifespan, lower stress hormones, better immune function, and improved mental health. And when you combine walking with conversation, laughter, and connection, you are essentially amplifying the health benefits of both movement and social interaction at the same time. Now let's talk about terrain, because most people walk on flat, predictable surfaces every day, which is safe and comfortable but does very little for balance and coordination. And as we age, balance becomes one of the most important predictors of independence, because falls are a major cause of injury in older adults. And walking on uneven surfaces such as grass, trails, or gentle hills forces the body to constantly make micro-adjustments, activating stabilizing muscles in the ankles, hips, and core, and strengthening the communication between your brain and your body, improving coordination and reducing fall risk over time. Now let's move to another extremely common pattern, the weekend warrior approach, where someone walks a lot on 1 or 2 days but remains mostly inactive the rest of the week. And unfortunately, the body does not respond well to this pattern, because health improvements come from repeated signals, not occasional bursts of activity, and research consistently shows that regular moderate walking throughout the week is far more beneficial than one long session once in a while, because consistency reinforces metabolic, cardiovascular, and hormonal adaptations. Now another often overlooked factor is footwear, because shoes that are worn out lose their ability to absorb impact, which increases stress on the knees, hips, and lower back. And the problem is that this deterioration is gradual, so people often don't notice it until discomfort appears. And by then the stress has already been accumulating for months or even years. And finally we come to one of the biggest misconceptions of all, the idea that walking can cancel out a poor diet. And while walking is incredibly powerful, it cannot fully offset the biological effects of ultra-processed foods, excess sugar, poor sleep, and chronic overeating, because these factors operate through different physiological pathways, meaning walking improves circulation, cardiovascular function, and glucose handling, but nutrition provides the raw materials your body uses to function, and both are essential for long-term health. So the real key is not choosing one over the other, but combining them, because when walking and nutrition work together, the effects on aging, energy, and disease prevention are dramatically amplified. And if you take only one message from this entire video, let it be this: walking is not just a habit, it is a powerful biological tool that can either maintain your health or transform it depending on how you use it. And the best part is that it is never too late to start. I have seen people in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s completely transform their energy, mobility, confidence, and independence simply by making small, consistent improvements to how they walk, not perfectly, just consistently. And now I want to ask you one final Question: which of these mistakes surprised you the most? And which one will you change starting today? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if this video helped you understand your body better, make sure to subscribe and like this video because it helps us continue creating simple science-based guidance for people who want to stay strong, independent, and healthy for as long as possible. Take care of your body, keep moving, and I'll see you in the next video.